Wings in Ottawa tonight, 7 p.m. right here on the Ticket. Michigan falling to unranked Iowa on the road, 74-59 to Guy Brasdeikis. Jordan Poole each was 16 for the Wolverines, who got little help off the bench. Head coach John Beilein.
I liked about half of them. I think attribute their defense and the way that they were playing their defense, that they were challenging some people to shoot and getting our best shooters and running them off the line. So no, we didn't have the best, but that wasn't a big issue right now. It's just make some of those shots, and we got to move the ball a little bit better. So yeah, they're a better team. I mean, I said to this team, I said in 13 we came in here with a national championship type of team, and we got blown out of here. In 14 we came in here a team that was 15-3 in the league and got blown out of here. So we just got blown out of here today.
Indiana is at number 6 MSU today at 6 p.m. for the Breslin Center. Michigan State now back in front of Michigan in the race for the Big Ten title by 1/2 game. Pistons and Clippers tonight at the LCA. They will tip that off at 5 p.m. right on WWJ News Radio 950 because the Red Wings game is here on the Ticket. It'll be Ricky Fowler by one shot over Justin Thomas through 2 rounds at the Phoenix Open. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Jeff Lesson. For more, 97.1theticket.com.
All righty, welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Free. Alongside of me, Harry Glantz.
Morning, Harv. How you doing on this nice, warm Saturday morning? It's a heat wave, 13 degrees rolling in rather than minus 14 2 days ago.
This is good living out there for sure, and I know it's a great break for the real estate agents, and of course, we bring in one of the superstars, Lee Ehlers.
Yes, sir. How's it going, everybody?
Team Lee, of course. Great to see you, Lee. How's it going?
It's going awesome, man. It really is. It's surprisingly awesome right now.
Yeah, the cold weather seemingly hasn't detoured people from being out in the market looking at buying houses.
It has not. I mean, it was one of those things where it's going to be negative $1 billion. No one's going to go out there and buy houses, but it's been nuts, man. It really has.
Yeah, ever since January 8th, it's like everybody came back to work on January 8th. So really, for business purposes, it was a 3-week month in mortgages and real estate. And guess what? It was surprisingly a very strong January. And in spite of the cold weather out there.
Yeah, things can change on a dime in our industries. They really can. Going into December, again, rates were headed up. They were moving in the 30-year fix towards 5%. I don't really feel as if it was scaring anybody away. There's some talk of the town that might have scared people away. But then here again, the cold weather, none of these things are preventing people. And, of course, the interest rates showed a little bit of benefit to the buyers out there and maybe slightly have reduced. We'll talk about all this at 248-539-9797, how important it is to have good credit. Because if you have the good credit, then you're in a competitive situation where you can shop around your interest rate a little bit. And again, at the end of the day here, it just doesn't matter enough whether you're at 5% or 4 3/4. The key is that you get a great transaction, you buy a great house that has value in it, and that this home is going to be something that's going to benefit you and build some wealth for you down the road.
So we talk about that, and Lee can verify this. It has to be a fit for the buyer. Not every house fits every buyer, and you have to be comfortable, A, with the house. It has to have, you have a checklist, and if you have 10 things on your checklist, and you could check the box on 7, 8, 9 of them, because there's really anything a 10 out of a 10. You hope to get 10 out of a 10, but if it meets 7, 8, 70, 80% of your needs, and it's in an area you want to live in, and it's a quality of life that you want, and most importantly, if you can afford it, lying your head down on your pillow at night, not worrying about making the mortgage payment, and it's a fit, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, the only 10 out of 10 that's out there is my wife. Outside of that, everything's a compromise, right? So when you go in, you find out what your must-haves are. You see houses. You realize, you know what? I actually don't have to have this thing, or I don't have to have that thing. You know what? It turns out I really, really need this thing. So it's a lot of times it's going through, seeing stuff. It's different being there and feeling it than it is just looking at a photo online.
So yeah. when you're talking about houses and taking people out there and you're going over their wants and needs lists and their goals and objectives, and really it comes down to, you're going to a house and you see what's needed. Maybe things need to be renovated. Maybe they don't. But you got to look at the big ticket items in terms of when you're looking at a house and what could the future expense be. It doesn't need a new roof. Okay, how's the foundation? Does the driveway, it's tough to see in this weather, does that need repair? Does it need a new furnace and air conditioning? Does it need new windows? Okay, those are big ticket expenses, right?
Yeah.
So you go over that checklist and you say, okay, this is good, the roof looks great, the furnace is good, and that's why I have a home inspector do it. And if there are minor things that need to be done, painting, wallpaper, cosmetic stuff, well, on the list, those aren't the big things, are they?
No, I mean, the lipstick's easy, right? Anybody can do that. I can do that. The things that are important are not just roof, HVAC, foundation, the stuff that's going to be $1 billion. It's the stuff that the age of the house is going to dictate. So if an inspector says, look, everything I see is great, it's perfect, it's awesome, but the house is 30 years old, they've never replaced the furnace, well, you know it's going to go soon, right? And right. This is the original roof, well, that's going to go too. So the question isn't just what you want in a house, it's what a lot of buyers fixate on, because that's what they care about. What I care about is, okay, we know what your wants are, but let's talk about your time frame. Are you going to be here forever? Are you going to be here for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? What is it? And then those big ticket items, are they going to come up in that frame?
And that's really one of the most important questions. And we have a list of 5 or 6 questions right off the bat that we ask people. And really, one of the more important questions is, how long do you plan on staying in the house? Because that allows us to figure out the best program for somebody. If somebody's long-term, you put them in a longer-term program. If somebody's going to be there short-term, and again, it depends. We could all sit here and say, what's our 5-year plan? Okay, well, it might turn into a 7-year plan. It might turn into a 10-year plan. You might have to call an audible at the line and go with a different plan. So those kind of things. So we try to avoid, and I know you do, Lee, we try to avoid the pitfalls that can really put a damper on somebody's plan and try to set them up for success.
Yeah, when you've done it like we have and you've seen it, everybody comes through and they're like, well, I'm for sure not going to move for 5 years. And it's, right. Oh, by the way, I just got laid off, or, oh, by the way, my company did something, or I got promoted. Yay. So
right. I want a bigger house.
Yeah, and I'm stuck in this. I didn't realize. So we just kind of discuss all of that when we talk about buying something, give them a plan, talk about what's a really smart way to go. And then crap happens, but at least we're insulated against it.
So right now, surprisingly, January, Harvey and Lee, it has been pretty busy. A lot of activity. When we say busy, we don't, there's a lot of activity. People are still engaged. They're still looking out. They're invigorated. They're excited. They're going out and they're looking at homes. How do you foresee that? What does that translate to for March, April, May, June?
So what we're seeing right now is we had a lot of doom and gloom predictions at the end of the year, and it got pretty sweaty. So that's why the first week of January was pretty tough. Everyone's like, well, I've heard that interest rates are going to skyrocket. I've heard that there's going to be no inventory, that the market's going down, all those things. Well, then come the second week of January, all these houses go after bidding wars. It's just heating up like crazy. So what I see is everybody waited because they were told that everything's going to be terrible. Now they're realizing it's not going to be terrible, so they're putting houses on the market. People are buying. I think there's more bidding wars. Having said all of that, that's only in the, I'd say, sub 350 range. So if you've got $1 million house, it's sitting right now. It's just there's not that many buyers. But if you're the average price point, that 350 on down, it's nuts. I think it's going to stay nuts February, March, all that.
Yeah, I mean, you could buy a house as little as 3% down, Lee. You're saying the numbers all the way up to the 400, the new jumbo limits, 484, 350. So it doesn't take a whole lot of money. A lot of the folks out there are going to get a tax return back this year. Of course, there's a new tax code out there. If you haven't gathered your information or contacted your CPA, definitely go ahead and get in touch with them sooner than later. That could be the little boost that your family needs, that little extra money that you need to become a homeowner this year or make that step up to the nicer home. Hey, we're going to take your calls all morning long, 248-539-9797. Really, like you said, Lee, a really interesting week. And if you're going to look at a house in the cold weather, you're definitely a serious buyer out there. And we talk about that plan that's always changing, the wants and needs list. And it can change on a dime, Lee. Everything can be perfect about the house, but it doesn't have a garage or something of that nature. So then you can sit back and sort of figure out what it costs for a garage. Can you live without a garage? Well, some people can and some can't. And again, that's a bigger event that definitely we all want to have garages when it's snowing out. But there are things like finished walkout basements, finished basements, that extra space, things that you might want to keep some money in your pocket for. And that whole comprehensive plan that you put together, it can always change. But having these professionals sit down, we love that consultation. I just think everything nowadays is truly about getting in front of people, sitting down. Those are truly the best transactions day after day. We see it nonstop here.
Yeah, and what we do sometimes is we kind of augment exactly what you already want. So just for example, if I have a senior client and they say, I want a ranch because I don't like stairs. Great, perfect. That's a super smart move. But what happens if you have a fall and you're in a wheelchair? Now, we want to make sure that those hallways are ADA compliant, they're wide enough for you, something like that. So everything that you wanted and envisioned stays the exact same. But I just point out, maybe you look for a place that's a little bit newer, so the hallways are wider, doorways are wider. You can get in anywhere if you need to get in. Oh, okay, cool. So it still fits that plan.
Yeah, things are definitely changing out there. Again, we talk about the internet could be a great place to get started, but at the end of the day, you really have to meet true professionals, sit down, have that consultation, and that plan, that process that's always changing. 248 248-539-9797. We got lots to share with you this morning. Some of the work that we have to continuously talk about is a comprehensive house finance plan, Harry. It's boring to some people out there, but again, 2008 was horrible. They were giving mortgages away in the early 2000 to anybody. They really loosened it up.
Who are they?
Bad
Who are those people?
Some bad people.
Who are those people?
And they did movies about them and things like that. And then we saw the effects of it in 2007, 8, 9, with the recession kicked in. Families were walking away from the homes. We don't see that anymore. Taxpayers are more involved. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA. They're making changes so that we don't run into those problems. We got more qualified buyers. We got our neighbors who qualify to make their house payments and stay in there a long time.
Just want stability.
That's
you
it.
Want
stability in the
and
marketplace.
consistency. That's
All right,
what
when
you
we
want.
come back, we'll give you a lot more information. 248-539-9797. Keep it here.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
January 26, 2019.
And it's still cold.
Yeah, it's still cold. Just starting off. Frigidaire all weekend long, maybe for the next 10 days in the upper teens. That's okay. We've got the machine of the Dow River area of real estate. Michelle
Real estate is
Sayward's
hot.
here.
It's
So it
cold
doesn't
outside,
matter.
but it's hot.
Hey, you guys mentioned it. The start. Of course, the government shut down. They did sign last night, so the messy situation hopefully is getting resolved. It's going to take some time. We were just talking about it off the air. Great news with respect to transactions involving USDA loans. Again, with any transaction, communication is the main theme. That's what you got to worry about. Good communication, and those people will close. But that domino effect definitely happened, and some people were affected by it. Again, it might have been some USDA loan purchased down here, but if they didn't close, then before you knew it, it affected 3 or 4 different
Well, Harvey,
transactions.
Michelle, and Becky, people are listening to the radio going, what does the shutdown have to do with mortgages and real estate?
And what is a USDA loan?
And what is the USDA loan?
Yeah, what is USDA?
We're here to tell you how it can affect you if you're in the middle of a transaction that you have a USDA loan. Michelle, let's go with that.
Yeah. Okay. So what? Yeah, the government shutdown. I mean, really, this is just like a consumer confidence conversation overall. I think
Right.
is this
Right, because
what
you
we're
think
talking
about
about
it,
here,
we are just 10 years from when everything just fell apart, right? So when you're dealing with this extended government shutdown, it does it's going to incite that fear, like, oh my God, it's because it's very fresh. It's an open wound. Everyone's still getting back together.
People get freaked out.
Right, people do get freaked out. So as far as on a mortgage transaction, the biggest impacted loan transaction that was affected was USDA. FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, even Midget, those really aren't, you weren't seeing those hits. But USDA, they did stop onboarding these guaranteed loans. We did extend free rate extensions as well because they would not allow us we couldn't do anything. We were just stuck.
Yeah.
So in those situations, we had our policies in place as courtesies because it's not the consumer's fault. We're doing everything we can to get past that for those USDA loans.
But again, better known as a rural development loan here.
Right.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Harry. But
Sorry, let me give them the non-doctor version. Yes.
yeah, just a zero down program, and it's offered in any rural area. And again, we have you can go online and punch in an address, and it'll actually tell you whether or not it fits that criteria.
Correct.
There are income limits. It's a great program, but the fact is, the underwriters for that, we underwrite them here, approve them, and then they get the stamp from a USDA underwriter down at the government, and of course.
listen to us anytime, anywhere. 97.1 The Ticket.
All right, welcome back to the show. 9:15. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's where you're going to get a strong approval letter. Deal with the real professionals. Yeah. We close them in 15 days if we need to. Most of the folks out there nowadays, Harry, they have great income. The recession's gone. Everyone's working here in Southeast Michigan. They've saved enough money. Hopefully, more and more families will go ahead and get that stronger approval letter where they can sit down and really move forward with confidence.
Listen, you shouldn't go looking for something that you can't afford. Okay, so how do you know if you can afford it? If you get approved. And we're talking about an approval. We're not talking about a qualification letter. We're not talking about something that's not written on the piece of paper that it's worth. But guess what? You're approved. You go look. You go with Lee. You shop with confidence. He puts you in a house. We get you approved. You move in. And you don't need to move in 15 days.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, got to stop with that. All right? I mean, because the seller doesn't have anywhere to go. Right? So what are you going to move in 15 days for? All right. If you want to, sure, we can do it. We can do it in 15. We can do it in 30. If you want. Most purchase agreements, Lee, are 30 to 45. Standards 45.
That's right. Yeah, and it's people forget, too, if someone's going to fall through, it's usually the inspection or the appraisal, and so the homeowner doesn't start moving out of the house immediately upon accepting an offer. So
right.
you got to give them time. It's their house. Their family's there. Everything needs to move out.
Yeah, if you've lived in the house for 25, 30 years, you've got stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Okay, you got a lot of stuff. And, hopefully the people are putting their house on the market. They've gone through all their stuff because people are going to go through their house. They should have it organized so when people properly look at a house, they can see things and take a look at the space and make it a nice, when you list a house, Lee, what do you tell people?
I tell them that, look, people are going to come through. There's a lot of steps, a lot of hurdles. We want to make sure we're on the same page. And I don't trust anybody on the other side of the transaction. So don't start packing up and getting everything ready until usually once the inspection goes through. If I price things pretty accurately, so I'm not too worried about the appraisal. But I say don't do anything. Don't hire the U-Haul truck and get everything packed up. Get your pogs all put away. Wait until after that inspection's done.
Yeah, don't jinx the whole transaction. We've seen that happen. That's for sure. 248-539-9797. Yeah, it's interesting what this time of year, what kind of traffic we're going to see out there. But we do feel like the inventory is light on those good homes. So that's between, let's say 100 and 350. It's going to be crazy out there again. 2019, this coming spring, it's already started. So again, if you're thinking about home ownership, maybe you're just going to wait to sit down and see how much like I said, you're going to get back on your tax return. Figure out the whole situation. Make it really happen for your family. We'll show you how to do it the right way. A great example, Lee, has really been with the slower traffic that the builders had over the last 2 months. They were willing to do some deals. So this time of the year is still very interesting. And you might find that diamond in the rough. You might find the right situation where the seller does need to get out.
That's the key word. Yeah, Lee and Harvey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Lee, but that's the key word. The key word is it's situational. Mm-hmm. And I like to say it's always like baseball, okay? The situation dictates what you do. Everybody has a reason why they want to buy or why they want to sell. Everything's situational. You could find a seller that has to move out. They're being transferred. They're moving out of town, and you could get a deal. But there's no such thing as a steal anymore, right, Lee?
Yeah, well, no. And so we were talking about this off the air. The other thing, too, is price is one part of that offer. There's other things. If the seller's like, I really need delayed occupancy, or I really need this, or I really need that, the more of those things that you're willing to bend over for, the better odds that you're going to get your offer accepted and get a little bit of a break. But the days of offering $50,000 under value and getting it at 40 are just gone. This doesn't happen.
Yep. Even coming in under asking price when the house is listed aggressively, so it's listed at the market value. And again, it might get bid up $5,000 or $10,000 from that number. If you need seller's concessions, you truly have to digest that. You, your family, everyone involved in the transaction has to understand that if you're going to ask the seller to contribute, help pay for your closing costs, that you're probably going to have to come up probably closer to overbidding on the house, maybe at least start somewhere around where that purchase price is. And again, it's all situational because we can find out, Lee, you mentioned it, how long has that house been on the market? Was there any inspection problem? What happened to the other offers that broke apart in the last couple months?
Right.
And Lee, you threw it out there, the trust level. Not everyone's like us. Not everyone is truthful and honest. There's a lot of people that think that we're not going to find out something. And sure enough, we ran into that recently. I don't want to give out too much about a particular client or situation, but But we took the extra step and asked the listing agent, Lee, this is a true story. It just was within the last 30 days. We called the listing agent. I even called the listing agent and said, look, our clients don't have a whole lot of money to waste on a transaction. What happened to your other transactions? Was there a problem with the well and septic? And 100%, Lee, she said there's no problem. Everything was fine. Something entirely different. Lee, the septic guy said it was a failed system, that he wouldn't buy the house. It needed $17,000 to $20,000. But when we went back to that listing agent and said, well, what do you mean? You knew about this. She still hasn't. We had 3 or 4 different people ask her for a copy of the septic report, and she never sent
But that's
it
why
to us.
information is the key, right? Like,
Right.
we don't want to throw anybody under the bus. We
Yeah,
don't want
no
to talk
names.
negative and, keep everything positive. But that's why you have to do your homework and do your research. And there's another reason why. If you're sitting here now on February 2nd, and the price point that Lee said is, 150 to 300, anything under 300, 350 is going crazy if the house is in great condition. And what would, if there's a hot market out there, Lee, and if there's a house on the market for the last 65, 70 days in a hot market in that price point and it's vacant and it hasn't sold, what does that tell you?
It's overpriced.
It's either overpriced or there's something going on with the house, maybe some functional obsolescence, maybe because that house in that price point, everybody, I'm just giving an example. I'm just throwing out based on, things that we see in the marketplace in a hot market, hot price range, great area.
Why is it still
and
there?
A lot of showings. If it's up for 70 days, it's not just all the weather, okay? It can't just be because it's 15 below zero out, okay? There's a reason why. And the reason why is that the majority of the people who have walked through, if not all, couldn't fit that home into their situation that they needed.
Yeah, the problem we run into a lot is we'll have someone whose parents say, well, everybody knows you list your house for $20,000 or $30,000 over what you actually want. You negotiate,
you come
meet someone
down,
in the middle,
right.
blah, blah, blah. Well, it doesn't work that way because it's called the internet. And so what happens is people just cap their searches. So they're not going to, if you're looking for a 250 house, you're not going to include 270, 280 houses. You're going to cap it because you don't want to fall in love with something bigger. Because everybody knows houses sell quick right now. So you can't do that anymore. So if a house is sitting and they say, well, we're going to negotiate. No, you're not, because nobody's going to see it. They're just not.
Yeah, so we think right now, and we've got 2 reports right here. I showed these to Harvey yesterday. It's kind of funny that everybody likes to come out, with their brand new year report, what the predictions are going to be. Every prognosticator, predictor comes out at the end of a year to the beginning of a new year. It says what's going to happen. And usually things are based on historical data. Well, the last 7 years, it's been a seller's market. What do we see and what does the Mortgage Bankers Association see for 2019? We think it's going to be a stable market. We think it's going to be, not as crazy as it's been the last 7 years, but we think there's going to be all kinds of activity. We think that the nice homes on the market are going to sell, but it might take a little more time. Instead of getting 3 or 4 or 5 offers on a house, you might get 2 offers. Right. But we see stability in the market, and that's the key. And guess what? We believe that this spring is going to be a very nice spring. We think that we're seeing it right now. If you're seeing activity, people driving around at 15 below zero, what do you think it's going to be when the sun comes out and people start listing their houses? There's going to be activity in the market. I'm not an advocate of rushing into something just because you think you want to buy a house. All right? You got to take your time. And again, situational, find the right house, Harvey and Lee, for you.
Definitely have some fun with it. Home ownership is a lot of fun. It's a great way to build wealth. Of course, the statistics are out there that families that do own homes have a better opportunity to gain some wealth through it. Again, not only that, it's a lifestyle thing. I've never met anyone who I've called, after they've owned the house and they said it was a mistake. That is for sure. 248-539-9797. Different ways to get into homes nowadays are the VA loans, of course, with 0 down. We have many people here in Southeast Michigan that have served the country, and we appreciate that. And now's a chance to go ahead and take the VA eligibility certificate that you received. Find out how you can purchase a house with 0 down. You can use seller's concessions, and it's a great, great mortgage program. Also, the Federal Housing Administration, FHA loans have always been unbelievable opportunities for families with even lower credit scores. We've been able to get some families, even with lower than 600 credit scores, get them into housing. Now, of course, if you're in a situation where you're having trouble with your credit like that, we're going to help you get that credit score up. You get a little bit better interest rate and more
people there, Harvey, there are people right now that are going, what do you mean? There you guys go again. You're giving people with low credit scores that don't deserve mortgages, but it's kind of not like that.
No.
Okay? What happens is that if you have credit scores are dictated by various things, okay? Now, I will tell you that most of it is because people didn't make their payments on time.
Usually
so there are
student
people,
loans, yeah.
So
And
there are
usually
people
the
out there, Harvey and Lee, that are saying, well, why are you giving people mortgages that don't deserve them? Well, it's kind of not like that. What do I mean by that? What we do is we try to counsel and advise people on how to get their credit score higher than it is right now. And then if it hits a certain point, then we can get you a mortgage. So we're not advertising or saying, hey, everybody with bad credit, we're going to get you a mortgage. What we're doing is saying is if you had some problems in the past, here are the things that you need to do in the future to get your credit score up, and we can help you out. That's what we're doing.
There you go. That's a great segue. When we come back, 1-800, well, actually here in the studio, 248-539-9797. We're going to take some of your calls.
97.1 The Ticket.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
All right, welcome back to the show, 9:30.
Yeah, that
Hardcore
music
Mortgage,
pumps
real
me
estate
up.
business show.
Don't you wish everybody could hear what we talk about?
Oh my God! Actually, I think
Mortgage and real estate. You guys were talking the same stuff.
Oh,
That's
you
right.
know, it is good stuff.
I've been on this show. This is my second time on the show,
I
and
feel
I
like
think
you've been here a lot more than that.
because we connect and we all are. Everyone in this room is passionate about real estate.
Yes.
We think
Yeah.
about it in the
I do-
shower.
I feel it in my
we
loins.
think wow.
Let me introduce you again. Michelle Sayward, eXp Realty Downriver. Hey, let's drive into some really good stuff here. One of the things, I'm in the trenches every day, and we've had inspections going out there and a lot of communication. Inspections, I mean, they're becoming more and more valuable because our inventory is aging here in Michigan. It is across the United States. Again, we developed when we started building homes. It started obviously on the East Coast and then moved west, and now our homes here in Michigan are about 50 to 70 years old. There's quite a few, or at least a decent amount of that inventory out there. So these inspections are very vital, and they shouldn't be deal killers. They should be opportunities for sellers who are selling their house, Michelle, and I hope you agree with me, for maybe get that sewer line inspection done and fix it, because it's almost...
Does that touch a nerve, the sewer line?
Look, I didn't even say it.
They keep coming up.
That's
every
exactly
house.
what I was thinking. These sewer lines. We did not talk about this on the break, about sewer lines.
There's your sewer lines.
We cram in a lot of stuff on the break. We're like,
But even we got homes that were built before 1970, so there's no energy efficiency. They were built in a different era. The codes and everything involved, the homes weren't efficient. They didn't have enough insulation. Maybe there's not ridge, venting in the roofs.
Yeah.
All these things are becoming problems now for families, but they can be fixed and addressed.
yes, definitely. I mean, highly recommend a home inspection, and not a home inspection done by your uncle's brother's friend. Like a home, unless of course he's a professional builder, has experience
Licensed,
in home
right.
inspection. He's licensed,
bonded, and insured.
Correct.
How about it has a proper certification?
Yes, the trifecta.
definitely. Yeah, but Harvey, what you said about the drain lines, I'm seeing now with these 50, 60, 70-year-old homes more than ever right now, the main line from the house to the street, a lot of collapsing going on right now. And that's one thing that often gets overlooked on a home inspection.
Official vehicle of the Detroit Red Wings.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Now available for download. Always Aggravated. A Mike Valenti signature podcast. Get it on radio.com and Apple iTunes. 97.1 The Ticket.
Welcome back to the show. 248-539-9797. Going to take all your calls here this morning. I'm Harvey Freed, Harry Glanz. We bring in Lee Ehlers.
Boy, having some fun at the break talking about some crazy stuff.
It's a lot of fun to bring in usually.
Yeah,
He's got a new movie. We got tons to talk about. But hey, let's go to some of these calls here. We've got Steve on the line to see if my... Here he goes. We're going to go to our caller and click on caller Steve. There she goes. Hey, good morning. Welcome to our show. Steve, you there?
Am I on?
There you go, my man. What's happening?
Okay. I was just calling about a general question. Like, my daughter's got a house and she's paying that stupid PMI insurance.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was just wondering, like, does the mortgage company take that off automatically when you fall below the 80%, or do they just keep soaking you until you get a hold of them? And with the market going up or whatever, she's been there a couple of years. So, like, do they accept outside appraisal to determine that you owe less than 80% now and take that off? Or how's that work?
Okay, no, yes, and maybe. Okay, no, it doesn't come off automatically. Yes, they're going to keep soaking you. And maybe if we got an independent appraisal, maybe we could send it into the servicer, and maybe they would go ahead and deem it, take off the PMI. So how do we get rid of people's PMI, Harvey and Lee? We get rid of people's PMI by taking a look at, again, their individual situation, and what's the rate, and how long is she going to stay in the house? So if the current rate is at what the market rates are now or higher, then we would suggest getting an independent appraisal and refinancing the transaction and removing the PMI that way. So, I mean, we need to know a little bit more, but I hope I answered your question. Yes, they're going to keep soaking you. No, it doesn't automatically come off, and maybe we could get it done by just getting an independent appraiser and submitting it to the servicer. But the best way to do it is if we can get an appraisal, and it appraises for more, that it shows the 20% equity position, and we can save your daughter some money.
Yeah, Steve, some of the things is she bought the house. Did she get she got a conventional loan? You're calling it PMI. Did she get a conventional loan or
an FHA?
Was it FHA by any chance?
Yeah, I believe it's a regular conventional.
Yeah, regular conventional loan. So she's in a situation where we're going to, definitely take a look. There's so many families across Southeast Michigan. You're a concerned father. I'm glad you made the call because, a lot of the families have just come back and they've gone ahead and just refinanced the house. The neighborhoods have gone up in value. Their homes have gone up in value, and they're able to do a brand new mortgage, get rid of the PMI. Now,
when did she buy the house?
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago.
Well, there's a shot there. That's a maybe, too. I mean, that's a strong maybe. I mean, maybe we could take a look at it, and maybe it could benefit her and save her some money. But either way, we could provide some advice and some direction as to which way we can go.
Yeah, she got to weigh out the new numbers and see if the PMI...
it won't cost her anything.
Yeah, I mean, the rates have trickled down a little bit, too, and if she bought in the last 2 years, it could have been where the rate is so close to what she has now, and to remove that PMI is going to knock off $100 a month or something of that nature. It's a great call, Steve. I'll follow up and see if we can get some more details from you. Thank you for the call, and if you want to join the show, 248-539-9797. Always a great call when you talk about mortgage insurance. There's different kinds out there, and as we mentioned, because on an FHA mortgage, that mortgage insurance premium, that MIP they call it, does not come off the loan unless you refinance it to a conventional mortgage. So it's very key that you go ahead and find out a little bit more of what you have.
I like what Steve said. Do they soak that payment out of you forever?
Yeah, until you find out.
The answer is yes.
Well, it could fall off at 0.78%, but generally speaking, that's 7-8 years down the road, and most families will refinance.
But you need it to get in. I mean, it helps you get in. Yeah, it's not a bad situation. You just don't want it forever.
Yeah, as you guys say all the time, it's the interest rate on rent is 100%, right? So if you're stuck renting, you're throwing away your money, and you're going to get charged a little bit for PMI, it's still way better.
If it gets you into the vehicle that you need to get in, just do it.
All right, we mentioned it earlier, too, the difference between that old the words out there, pre-approval, approval, pre-qualification. Let me say this to anyone out there. If you have a piece of paper and it says you're pre-approved or any of the words approved on it, and you have not given the documentation to this loan officer that gave you that, you really need to start by calling us right away at Capital Mortgage Funding. There's no obligation. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to break all your information down and then get you a real approval. Lee's already mentioned it. All the top agents are already saying, Harvey, in this price range, it's going to be extremely competitive. You must put yourself out in front of the rest. You don't want to be out there with a pre-qual letter, struggling to come up with your funds, not having that mortgage process and your plan all all set together, you're just not going to go ahead and get the house accepted. And it's not the way to start off, a transaction. So if you haven't turned in your paperwork, that's the key. If you have not turned in your paperwork, definitely give us a call, Capital Mortgage Funding.
Yeah, communication's the key, and you have to be prepared, and you know how it is. You have to be prepared for going in, and Lee is not going to get in his car and show you houses without being approved. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, so often we get that phone call that someone has this pre-approval already, and again, I'm telling you, it's like 90% of the time. If we call these individuals, we quickly find out that they don't have their ducks in a row. Again, I spoke to a guy just 3 weeks ago. He said he's all approved. He had a pre-approval in his hand. I said, that's great. His first answer to the question, do you have any money you're working with? He said, I have nothing right now. Yeah. So pretty difficult. I don't know what program you qualified for, but if you can't even hire the moving truck to grab your stuff, that's going to be an upward climb.
Right. Interesting situation that happened to us all week this week with home inspections. Okay. How do you send in a home inspector out to a house in negative 14-degree weather? Well, what happens is you're just going to need to get an extension on that inspection clause in the purchase agreement. What does that mean? You signed a purchase agreement last week. You got a week to get the home inspected. Well, that week was this past week. An inspector is going to tell you, hey, listen, I can do the inside of the house. That won't be a problem. But how am I going to go around and see the outside of the house, check the foundation, take a look at all the things I need to do? Why don't we put it over another week? Okay? Sounds okay. Sounds logical, right? That's reasonable and rational. You still have to get that extension on the inspection clause in the purchase agreement. So, Lee, that's what we saw. We saw a lot of those this week. And luckily for us, we've had a lot of nice sellers that have extended the purchase agreement or the contingency for the inspection out. And that's the way a transaction works. See, people out there, real life happens. A buyer-seller relationship doesn't need to be adversarial. Everybody's going through the same thing in this kind of weather. You want to sell your house, you got to give a little bit of time frame in now because guess what? Lowest temperatures in over 99 years, right? In our lifetime. We've never, so we can't, the old people in this world, if they said, oh, it was colder when we were walking to school 100 miles one way and 200 miles. No, wrong. This has been the coldest. So now in the business world, in real estate mortgage transactions, you might need a little extension on
that happens.
A home inspection.
That's and it's normal here. There were some of the transactions were held up on, like you said, a couple days aren't going to make or break you. But more importantly, some of them went forward with the appraisal. So there were situations.
Appraisals for sure.
Yeah, you could have still ordered up the appraisal, moved forward with your transaction, ordered everything, and if hopefully nothing goes wrong with that inspection. And again, if it does, generally speaking, Lee, things can be worked out. Tell me about a couple of the things you had recently on a home where a couple of things came up in the inspection. They were easily worked out.
Well, so one of the things we had actually the other day was the radon test was in there. It got so cold that the sellers had to put the fireplace on.
Right.
And the guy's like, well, I can't take radon results if you got a fire going. So
there you go.
Well, what are we going to do? Well, technically today's the last day of the transaction. So we'll just extend it, right? So people have to be reasonable. We do that all the time. It's just we had walls frost up. We've had stuff, pipes break, all this, everything that can happen happens. And people just have to be reasonable, talk it out, have communication. It's really not the biggest deal. But today was 11, and I caught myself saying, it's pretty warm out. It's crazy.
No problem. Just a hoodie and you're all set to go. 248-539-9797. Lee, you got a couple great listings that are up. I know they're right in that wheelhouse of great price ranges. Again, these are for families just starting off. Some families, again, this could be a move-up home. Tell me a couple of the homes you got right now in the market.
Yes, right now we got a ridiculously awesome condo in Canton, which is pretty hot right now. It's $159,000. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Really going to like it. It's at 4061 Elizabeth. We got an open house today from 12 to 2.
159 condo. Let me just go over that real quick. 159 condo, Canton, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Association fees I saw were reasonably.
Yeah, it's got a pool. It's $250 a month. It's a pretty nice place, man. I mean, I really, really recommend it. It's been updated. Type of people that really take care of their house. And so if you want to be right off the expressway, kind of part of town that's up and coming, I would say Canton for sure.
Yeah, I like that one. How about the other one?
So we got another one today from 12 to 2. You'll actually see my pretty face. It is at 26305 Student in Redford. I really like Redford because there's a lot of stuff going on there. It's, again, by the expressway. You can get a really affordable house. This one's 3 beds, 1.5 bath. It's got everything. It's even got a whole extension. It's got a bar in it. It's got a really awesome hangout space, again, for $125,000. It's pretty crazy.
That's a great starter.
So if you're paying rent on that, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
you're paying rent on that, I mean, come on.
I mean, it's a no-brainer, man. You're throwing away money, or you can build equity in a house like this that you can do stuff with forever.
Yeah, that's what we said. A lot of opportunities out there. And again, even if you bought a house in Redford and your plan was a starter home to get started, you might fall in love with it. You can always retain the property, maybe sell it for a profit in the future, retain the property, rent it out, and take a look at some cash flow. We've talked about that with these starter homes, that some of these areas are going to be fantastic.
So, Harvey, we just got a great text. I got to read this text because it's an awesome text. So somebody texts in and says, why does my mortgage keep getting sold? I got my original loan from you guys.
Okay.
And now I'm on my third lender. Why? I think it's BS. I love that. That's great. So what happens is you're not on your third lender. You're probably on your third servicer of the loan. And what happens in the mortgage world, whether you go to a bank, a credit union, an independent mortgage lender like us, what happens is we have the option, a bank, a credit union, and us, we have an option whether we could service the loan, meaning take your payment every month, or sell the loan off. Now, quite frankly, right now, our parent company, us, we're servicing about $3 billion worth of loan transactions right now.
Oh, we're servicing a lot of them.
But however, you can't guarantee it because we pull them, and there's the music. But the bottom line is, I think it's BS too. But that's how you make money. We're not charging. That's why do you think you got such a low rate and low cost?
Hey, maybe the name of the bank changes, but your payment never changes.
Right.
We'll talk a little bit more
on
about that
after. Yeah, more on after the break. But yeah,
keep it here. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Welcome back to the show, 944. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's where you can find us all week long, right here in Southfield, Michigan, in our 28th year. Of course, we've been here on the radio for 19 years, and we love to share.
Long time.
Yeah, hey now.
Wake up, Southeast Michigan. We are here.
Sharing some great information. Michelle Sayward from eXp Realty in the Downriver area. She is one of the definitely queens or kings of the Downriver area because you work so hard, and it's really great to have you on there because you're in the trenches every day. That's what we do. It makes it really fun.
So, Michelle, do rates really matter to real estate agents?
They haven't.
They
no.
don't matter, do they?
Not in my 18 years of experience, no. I mean, I hear stories about, I bought a home when it was 18%, but we've never, in my lifetime, we really haven't been there. I mean, in my life, yes, I'm old enough for that, but, we haven't really experienced that in like the past 20 years or so.
Right, in the last 18 years since you've been doing real estate, the rates have been in a very, very good place. You're talking about historical lows. If you take a 50-year chart, and you took it the last 18, 20 years, you're going to find it on the extreme low end. So realtors and real estate agents getting involved in rates, if you're really busy, do you really get involved in rates?
No, but what I did notice in November when the rates went up just a bit, there was a pause where people were like, what? And when we thought, okay, is this the early winter and our rate's going to go up again? And then they didn't. They actually went back down.
Yeah, they actually had the opposite.
So right now we're moving along, and things.
I will agree with you though. In November, so October,
there was a blip.
Slated, and then there was a little second there in November where water felt like it got turned off a little bit. Yeah. But then again, at Capital Mortgage Funding with you, it's like you push through it and it's no big deal. And then it's just kind of you shake everyone up, and we're like, hey, oh my gosh.
Nothing you say can shock me. It's my job to help you, so call me.
Call 1-800-270-7117 for help. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
The Detroit Pistons host the Los Angeles Clippers. Pre-game today at 4:35 on News Radio 950 WWJ.
All righty, welcome back to the show. 9:45. Good morning to everyone who's up. Yeah, it's warm. Definitely a heat wave out there here, and we got the heat wave coming all weekend round. Be prepared for some slush out there. That's definitely coming our way.
Yeah, keep going. It's where we live. It's what we do.
All
it's
good. 248-539-9797. We definitely want to hear from you. Let's go to some calls here. We've got Dave out there in Canton. Dave, good morning. Welcome to our show.
How you doing?
Real good. What's happening?
Hey, just a question. How much difference is there in interest rates between a mortgage for your primary residence and investment property?
Wait, go say that again.
No interest rate. The difference between a conforming conventional interest rate on owner-occupied property
versus
and investment property.
Well, actually, they could be the same if you don't want to. Again, points and the closing costs come into play right away. Also, the loan to value and the credit score comes to play.
Right.
But generally speaking, you can get into an investment property for as little as, if it's a straight rental, you're buying as an investment 20% down. And the rate's very similar, if you've got great credit, very similar to what the going, if you're going to be your primary residence would
If it's
be.
not, it's a half to a point higher. That's the answer to the question.
Okay. And the rest of the process, appraisals and stuff like that, that should all be the same?
All the same.
Or does it shouldn't be any more for investment properties?
Well, it depends on when you got to get a rent schedule done on an appraisal. Mike Tomchek from an appraisal that we know will tell you that it's a little bit more work, but generally speaking, it's going to be in the same range. So let's just say a conforming conventional owner-occupied property, it's an appraisal is anywhere from $350 to $450. Maybe an investment property is going to be $400 to $500. So it's in that same range, depending on how much work that appraiser has to do.
Yeah, Dave, so let me answer a question real quick. So I do a lot of investment properties, flips, all that type of stuff, rentals. And what I've found is you really just have to partner with a lender that kind of knows the game, and then it's as effortless as anything else is because they already have access to all your information. Because one of the things that kind of pop up is if you're just buying one, it's pretty simple. But once you start buying 2, 3, 4, you got to have those rents, you got to have those the tenants' information all written down so they can verify debt to income and stuff like that. So if you just have capital, look at it. They go through the process with you. They have you all hooked up. When you're buying, the difference between buying the fourth and the fifth one is pretty nominal.
Okay.
Hey, Dave, you going to dip your toes in them, or you already got one?
I've got one in mind. I put in an offer on a short sale.
Okay, interesting. You don't see a lot of short sales around anymore. Look, a question, what's the price range? Just curious.
Right around 125 to 130.
Nice.
Yeah, that'd be great. So, yeah, if you get your hands on that, again, you're looking at putting 20% down minimum. At the end of the day, your mortgage is just over $100,000. Principal and interest is probably going to be somewhere around $500 to $600 a month. But tax and insurance, you'll have cash flow right at the beginning of it.
Okay.
Good stuff. Good luck to you, Dave. I hope to hear from you. We'll follow up with you and see if we want to get a strong approval letter from us. That way you can get hooked up with great real estate agents like Lee, and they'll show you a little bit about it. And most of the real estate agents that are the top-notch agents in the top 10%, you'll find that they've got a couple rentals, and there's no doubt about it that they've got a good portfolio, or they've dipped their toes in it quite a bit recently, or maybe they've done a whole bunch of flips. But there is some opportunity out there. Again, it's nice to see the stock market improve over the last week. We talk about being diverse in your investments and home ownership, and maybe having a rental or two could be an opportunity for some families out there to gain some additional wealth. There's no doubt when I run into families that have owned these rentals over years, it's just really nice cash flow. So something you definitely want to take a look at. Hey, 248-539-9797. We always talk about credit a little bit. There's no doubt anything you could do. We talked about, you might be able to get a mortgage with a 580 or higher credit score, but that's in that case scenario. We want to go ahead and start working and improving improving your credit. There are situations where some families really do pay all their bills on time, but they might have just let a student loan go, where they literally have not paid on the student loan. They've got some civil judgments, things in the past that are holding them down. Those are things we can help bring to the forefront, help you clear up so that you can move forward with your family and do the right thing. And again, a lot of times when you're calling on these unpaid collections accounts, they will take less money on them. So different strategies, get more professional people involved in your transaction and have more success. That's going to definitely serve you better.
Yeah, there are different things that hit your credit score harder than other things. And also, getting back on the servicing talk, it's very easy, Harvey. I'm going to keep this very, very short.
Sure.
If you went to a lender and they sold your loan, okay, that just means that's who's collecting the payment. So if you're at a different servicer, call your originator up and we can help you out and we'll get you the information because we'll put you in touch with our customer service department and they can do the legwork for you. So if you're somewhere where they're collecting the payment and they're bad customer service, you're just not getting the attention that you think you deserve and that you need, give us a call and we'll take care of it for you. Okay?
Yeah.
If we did the loan, we still have all your information, and we keep that information so we can follow up for you. So hit us up on an email, and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, call your loan officer up. Again, we have a concierge department where we'll go ahead and find out what the situation is. I helped a gentleman just a year and a half ago, I remember. It was very sticky. He wanted to buy a new house, and he had some late payments. We were able to figure some things out for him, and believe it or not, they were able to remove a late payment. It wasn't necessarily a late payment. It was right on the day it was supposed to be there. Like I said, if you get more professional people involved, you're going to have definitely a better time with it. Now, Harry, all these years I've had a mortgage.
Yeah.
I never had any servicing issues. All I know is that the payment comes, you know what the payment is each month.
You make your payment.
You make it on time, and usually there's not a problem. Now, they could mess up escrow accounts and things of that nature.
There are issues that come along with that. We've been lucky that our issues are very, very few and far between. However, is if you're having an issue and somebody isn't getting back to you, and we did your loan, I can only speak for ourselves.
Yes.
Give us a call. We'll track it down for you, and we'll try to help you out. Now, sometimes it's like, working your way through a maze because, we have something called the subservicing agents, and everybody does this that's in the mortgage business that services loans. We still, the loan is still our loan, but we have somebody else collecting the payment. That's called subservicing, and it's boring. You guys just drove off the road. However, it's easy. Once you do business with us, we're your contact forever. Let us help you out on that.
Yeah, that has come up very rarely. Hey, a real quick talk about cash-out transactions, of course. Great opportunities now. So many of our families have wealth built into their home, some equity built in over the last 5 or 6 years, maybe even a little longer if you live there. Find out how you can use that equity to pay off that toxic debt. In fact, we got a caller right now. Dave, you're calling in maybe from White Lake. You had a question about clearing up some credit issues. Go ahead and tell me what you got going on.
Yeah, I sure do. I listen to your show every Saturday, and I learn a lot from you guys, so I appreciate it. But
Thank you.
So I'll be 30 in about a month, right? And I pay everything on time. I started, really taking it serious about 2 years ago. And I don't have massive debt by any means. I've never had a credit card. I was telling your screener that I got denied for a Tractor Supply card the other day because I'm trying to build credit. So my next step is to go into the bank and get a secured Visa.
There you go.
But I got denied for lack of available accounts, I believe it said, or something along the lines of that, meaning I'm assuming I just don't have enough credit.
Yeah, it sounds like what they're saying is that you don't have enough trade lines that they can make a decision based on your credit history. So it doesn't mean you have bad credit. It just means, which is not here. I know you want the credit card, but when somebody sends you a letter that says we can't give you one because you don't have enough history, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So what you have to do, like you said, you have to build your history. Go get a secured credit card. Harvey talks about it all the time. Go get a gas card. Go get another secured card. Charge a couple times. Make the payments and everything. That's building a credit history.
I would say if you actually, Dave, if you had about 2 or maybe 2 of them, don't go 6 of them. You don't need 6 of these.
Crazy.
But if you had 2 of these secured credit cards over the next 12 months, probably even after the next 6 months, your credit score will go way up again. I'll follow up with you, Dave. I'd like to see if there's anything else weighing you down. If you
and that's my question.
Yeah.
That's what you said. You could maybe reach out afterwards. I know there is, but it's nothing, like exponential. It's maybe a few things, but maybe a emergency room visit. But other than that, I'm trying to take it. I got kids, and like life is like coming at me fast now. It's like, I got to get, you got to be productive and responsible.
Yeah, man. So one thing I've done is, so I'm terrible with credit cards. That's my big hang up. So what I did is, I got a financial advisor who set me up where I absolutely everything goes on my credit card, and then it auto pays at the end of the month. So I don't even have to touch it.
Smart.
Right. So then you get all the points, you get all the benefits, you build your credit, and you don't risk.
You don't even worry.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I'd say. could work too.
Dave,
That and a strong wife too, Lee. I know she helps you out.
Well, yeah, she just does everything.
Yeah.
So.
Dave, that's a great call. We'll get you hooked up on that. Harvey will reach out to you, and he'll put you on a plan to where you'll start building your credit, and your credit score will steadily increase.
I appreciate it, boys.
You got it.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the call. Again, 248-539-9797 if you want to sneak a call in. Again, a little bit about those cash out refinances. A lot of times just to remove that mortgage insurance premium, to get rid of the PMI, to get rid of some bad debts out there. Lots of opportunities out there. Again, it doesn't cost you anything to make the call. There's no obligation. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Final thoughts, Lee Ehlers.
You guys are awesome. Keep listening, keep learning, and keep using me. I love you.
I like that kind of stuff. Hey, it's always about the education, the knowledge. That's what we want to do, is share as much of it with you as possible. Set you up for home success. That's the key. All right, we got tons of stuff coming up here. Sports all day long, and there's a big game tomorrow, by the way. But first, Pat Caputo. He's got some social commentary for Harry Glanz. I'm Harvey Free. Lee Ehlers, too. We'll see you next Saturday.
Great show, guys.
See ya.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.